CTV Edmonton, local breaking news with Brendan Purdy.
Tonight on CTV News, let's make a deal. Members of Alberta's largest public sector union vote on a new collective agreement. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. The Alberta Union of Provincial Employees who work for the Government of Alberta have voted in favour of a new collective agreement. The four-year pact retroactive to April 1st, 2024. 63.5% of members voted in favour of the mediator's recommended deal. 71% of eligible members voted. Some key points of the agreement are a 12% salary increase over the 4 years, weekend shift premiums, and the recognition of all provincial and federal holidays. AUPE is set to hold a press conference tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. to provide further details. The province is rewriting its order to remove certain books from Alberta school libraries. The Premier says the ministerial order has been misconstrued, and the province just wants to remove inappropriate content from elementary schools. As CTV's Evan Kenny reports, this move is making some question what's considered inappropriate.
The UCP government has pumped the brakes on its order to pull certain books from school libraries.
And the Premier has said, we want to ban pornography and we want to keep the classics, and it's common sense to know the difference.
Earlier this week, a list of more than 200 books being pulled by Edmonton Public Schools was released, including classics like The Handmaid's Tale and Brave New World.
Common sense is one of those terms that people throw around, meaning everybody should think the way I think. I think it's common sense. You think it's common sense. Someone else may think it's completely different.
Tuesday, the province said it would be revising the order immediately to ensure that classic literary works remain in school libraries, while books with graphic pornographic images don't end up in the hands of children. This political scientist believes the ministerial order becomes blurry when it comes to defining what pornographic images are.
So if you look at the current definition of pornography in Canada's criminal code, all the books that were on the list would probably be okay.
A definition other countries have struggled with.
There have been multiple court cases, both in Canada and the U.S., trying to do that, and it is so subjective.
It's absolutely a terrible way to deal with social problems.
One expert says this is a censorship issue.
All of us are in favor of free speech till we come across expression that we don't like. And then a lot of those people say, well, and the way to deal with that is to make sure nobody else can see it because I don't like it.
CTV News reached out to the province for comment. In a statement, the education minister says, we are currently working on a new version of the ministerial order and will not be commenting about specific changes at this time. Evan Kenny, CTV News, Edmonton.
A man with a history of violent offenses is facing charges after allegedly stabbing a stranger outside of a Canadian Tire. It happened Thursday morning outside the Canadian Tire near 96th Street and 162 Ave. Police say a 64-year-old man was loading purchases into his vehicle when a stranger approached him and stabbed him. The man then rode away on a bike. Police say they arrested a 33-year-old on a bus after getting a description from witnesses. Nathan Piché is facing charges, including attempted murder. Police say Pichet's criminal history includes a manslaughter conviction after stabbing a man in West Edmonton back in 2018. A large fire at the Genalta recycling facility over the weekend is under investigation by multiple agencies. Now, the union representing the firefighters who battled the flames is raising concerns of its own. CTV's Amanda Anderson explains.
The fire at Genalta Recycling, a scrap metal processing plant, started around 8:30 Saturday morning. Thick black smoke billowed into the sky, seen kilometers away. This lasted 2 days.
We don't know exactly what's in the smoke.
The vice president of the Strathcona Firefighters Association is concerned about the health impacts of the smoke, not only to firefighters, but the public.
You know, when we see the smoke plume shift and go towards our community where our family and our children are sleeping and living, that's a concern to us.
Alberta Environment responded to monitor air quality, and an advisory was issued to the public. The union's concern is the fire at the recycler isn't a one-off.
Suffice it to say, it's multiple fires a year.
one of them, this large fire in 2020. Moen says it took crews 31 hours to fight.
When we see a pattern of going back to the same business over and over again, we have to believe that there's something that can be done. I mean, if we know that in the next few months we're likely to respond back there, we should be able to identify what's causing the problem and fix it.
Strathcona County Emergency Services, with support from Alberta Environment, is investigating. So is Occupational Health and Safety. In a statement, Mayor Rod Frank says, "We look forward to the results of this investigation and any recommendations that will support community safety and help prevent future fires at this site." Moen is glad the issue is getting attention.
Maybe it's something that we should have brought up in the past, given how many fires we've gone to there. But I know it's definitely something that our county is concerned about and they're working on solutions for, and we definitely want to support them.
Amanda Anderson, CTV News, Sherwood Park.
CTV News has reached out to Genalta, and we're waiting for a response. With less than 2 months before the municipal election and an open mayor's race, many voters are beginning to decide who to support. The Chamber of Commerce is hosting a televised mayoral debate later this month to help inform that choice. As CTV's Jeremy Thompson reports, the debate could help establish a frontrunner.
I do think I have the skill set to lead us in, past the next election.
Councillor Tim Cardmell has been in campaign mode since November, a bid for mayor that became more complicated in the time since.
With Sohi announcing he's not going to run and then Andrew Knack coming back into the race, it really changed the dynamic from one that looked like, Tim Cardmell was going to win in a walk to now a very close race.
There are now about a dozen people looking to lead Edmonton, current and former city councillors, former politicians from other levels of government, as well as political outsiders. Later this month, some of them will get a major exposure boost.
This will be the largest debate of the election and the only one televised across the entire city.
The Chamber of Commerce is hosting the first televised debate in recent memory, and only 5 candidates have been selected to take the stage. Andrew Knack, Tim Cardmell, Michael Walters, Rahim Jaffer, and Omar Mohammed. The others didn't make the cut, including former 4-term councillor Tony Katarina.
Fundamental to having a televised debate is to make sure that the candidates get an opportunity to speak, and we needed to have a cutoff to have a televised debate.
It's very high stakes, and it's especially high stakes because it's such a close race.
Political analyst John Brennan believes the debate is an opportunity for lesser-known candidates like Jaffer and Mohammed to get noticed, and a chance for everyone to generate momentum for the rest of the campaign.
It's the clips that come out of the debate that are going to be important, like who really does well and who's perceived to have done well.
Chamber President Doug Griffiths just hopes it will help voters make up their minds.
That's what we need, is some defining moment that helps Edmontonians choose their destiny.
The debate airs Friday, September 12th. Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Edmonton.
The Prime Minister will be bringing his caucus to Edmonton next week. Mark Carney's office confirms the Liberals will be holding planning meetings right here. The Prime Minister was in Toronto today for a Liberal cabinet meeting. While speaking to reporters, Carney said he had a lengthy phone conversation with U.S. President Trump on Monday where they spoke about trade and geopolitics. The Assembly of First Nations is holding its General Assembly in Winnipeg. Much of the focus of the 3-day assembly is expected to be on the federal government's Bill C-5. It lets Ottawa fast-track major projects found to be in the national interest. Today, one of the Grand Chiefs said progress can't come at the cost of rights, treaties, or responsibilities to the land. Delegates will also discuss advancing First Nations policing and harm reduction strategies on substance abuse.
If we don't mobilize to protect our rights, no one else will. We have fought in Parliament, we have fought in the courts, and we have fought on this land to protect our rights as people and as nations. Nothing has been given to us, and we are not going back.
The Assembly includes delegates from more than 600 First Nations across our country. The U of A is honoring its relationship with Indigenous peoples by doing something new. the university opened its doors to its new Commons Flag Plaza. The ceremony included raising the Treaty 6 flag and the Métis flag right in the center of campus. This is the university's first time ever raising these flags.
I hope that they see the history of these lands. They see the importance of truth and reconciliation to the university community, particularly with the Treaty 6 and the Métis flag up there. We also have the flag of the province of Alberta, the Canadian flag, and finally we will add the flag of the University of Alberta.
The U of A says all the flags are meant to represent the foundational commitments and values of the university. Canada is facing a shortage of a medication that can help prevent heart failures. One Alberta man wants to warn others about the situation. CTV's Jacqueline Wilson reports.
Fred Fisher has been off one of his heart medications, spironolactone, for over a week.
I was diagnosed a year or better ago with an enlarged heart, which means it doesn't pump as efficiently.
A national shortage of the drug has put him in a tough spot.
Went to refill it again and found out they were having trouble even getting it. And that was when a pharmacist advised me that there was a shortage, and if he had to outsource from their normal supplier to get it from somewhere else, the price was going to be steep again. At that point, my doctor told me, he says, you can go off of that particular one.
Spironolactone is supplied by 4 companies. 2 are reporting shortages because of manufacturing disruptions, and a third has a shortage due to increased demand. As a result, the drug may not always be available, according to Health Canada.
And it's being used in patients with heart disease, and specifically heart failure, when people have been diagnosed with heart failure, both heart failure where there's a pump problem or other types of heart failure. When it's used to help manage the condition, and specifically used to help reduce the risk for dying or being hospitalized. That's its main role.
Experts warn against buying unlicensed or unverified products. Instead, people should talk to their doctor about alternatives.
There are several medications that are very similar, not identical, that really can be used in as a replacement, or even short-term or even longer-term replacement to be considered.
Ottawa says the shortage should resolve by the end of the month. Welcome news to Fred Fisher, who's patiently waiting for when he can access his preferred medication once again. Jacqueline Wilson, CTV News, Calgary.
An Alberta man says he was shocked to see his home insurance premium jump by 70%. He says his last claim was over a decade ago, and the best advice he can find is to shop around. As CTV's Stephanie Thomas explains, experts say extreme weather is causing rates to rise across the board.
Alvin Phillips called his stepdaughter over after opening mail from TD Insurance. They were both stunned. The quote to renew coverage for the home was $9,000.
It was a little bit of a shock that it would go up that much.
Wow, yeah, $9,000. What happened?
That's a 70% increase from last year's annual rate at $5,300. Customer service told them there was no mistake.
I haven't been a burden on them. I've had one claim for roof damage, and that was it.
In 20 years of coverage, his most recent claim was back in 2013. But claims across the province and the country are likely behind this rate hike. The Insurance Bureau of Canada says last summer alone, companies paid out a record $8.5 billion for insurable damage due to climate disasters. Alberta makes up half of that, with the Jasper wildfire and last August's hailstorm that hammered the Northeast.
All of that is putting pressure on insurance premiums as we see the cost of these events continue to go up and up and up.
He adds the claims of the few affect the premiums of the many. Climate experts say extreme events are becoming common.
Climate change, global heating is supercharging our weather systems. More heat, more water mean more fuel for storms.
Some brokers advise shopping around.
At the end of the day, this is about coverage and making sure that when the sudden and unexpected happens, you have a package that's going to respond and make sure that you're not in financial dire straits.
That was the advice given to Alvin Phillips.
Yeah, if you don't like it, go somewhere else. That's basically what they're saying.
This much and this much effect all at one time for one household is a lot.
Stephanie Thomas, CTV News, Calgary.
A section of road downtown was closed to traffic earlier today for a big block party. Thousands of students from MacEwan University and Norquest College enjoyed food, games, entertainment, and prizes. Around 30 downtown businesses set up booths on 108th Street between 102nd and 104th Avenues. The school year is just getting started, and MacEwan's president says this is one way to make everyone feel welcome. Chefs, artists, and musicians are preparing to celebrate a milestone for a local festival. Marissa Kay is performing with two other musicians on stage Saturday night during the 20th annual Kaleido Family Arts Festival. The festival takes place this weekend on 118th Avenue between 90th and 95th Streets. Just ahead, the trip of a lifetime. One Alberta teen explores historic European sites where Canadians fought during the First and Second World Wars. Plus, I've got the need for speed. An Edmonton woman sets a land speed world record.
Last year went down and set 2 national AMA records and figured we'd aim bigger this year and get a world record.
Good evening, folks. Breezy, hazy, and hot today. Up to 28 degrees for a daytime high. Look at the Peace Country hit 29s. Big cool down on the way for tomorrow, but the air should be clearer as well by tomorrow afternoon. Full forecast in just a few minutes.
Welcome back. A high-flying world record has been set in the mountains of Switzerland. Austrian athlete Peter Saltzman now holds the world speed record for a base suit in a batwing suit. He leapt from over 3,700 meters above sea level and reached a top speed of 347 kilometers an hour. A tracker was built into his suit to measure data, and a specifically designed helmet was made to cut through the air and reach the record-breaking speed. A woman in Edmonton has satisfied her need for speed. She's returned to Alberta after a motorcycle race in the States where she reached new speeds and a world record. CTV's Merritt Cash has her story.
Leanne Langlois is fresh off competing at the Bonneville Motorcycle Speed Trials. The event takes place on the iconic Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah.
My first run, we ran 130, just a little Sunday stroll at miles per hour. So that's over 200 kilometers an hour.
A few rides later, she ended up setting a new motorcycle land speed world record. She was going more than 136 miles an hour. That's 267 kilometers an hour.
The record is probably the coolest thing that I've ever done. There's not a lot of people who, first of all, go down and set national records, let alone world records.
Langlois has been going to Utah every August for the past 11 years. She became serious about winning recently after JKR Power Sports designed a custom bike for her.
Last year went down and set 2 national AMA records and figured we'd aim bigger this year and get a world record.
Away from the track, Leanne works as a senior advisor for Chrysalis, an Alberta Society for Citizens with Disabilities. She's the only Canadian woman to break a land speed world record.
Being one of the very few women, let alone very few Canadians who do this is, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I wish more people would come down because it's quite an awesome time.
Merrick Takash, CTV News, Edmonton.
An Alberta teen is back home after an all-expenses-paid 10-day trip to Europe, visiting historic sites where Canadian soldiers fought in the First and Second World Wars. She's one of 13 teens who won a spot for the Beaverbrook Vimy Prize. CTV's Kevin Fleming has more.
Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw.
It's a war poem that Louise Ogbenar grew up with at Remembrance Day ceremonies in Calgary. She says it was a powerful moment standing in a cemetery in France, surrounded by fallen Canadian soldiers.
And I saw his grave as well, and I was able to sing that poem as well in front of John McCrae's grave. And
to us being the next generation up on the world stage, right?
Ogbenar is a grade 12 student at Bishop O'Byrne High School and spent 10 days in France and Belgium in August visiting museums, memorials, battlefields, and cemeteries.
It was a bit tough looking at thousands of graves and thousands of names, and I connected with history so deeply. It was really touching to see history right in front of my eyes, to be in the same places where soldiers were over 100 years ago.
The Beaverbrook Vimy Prize is awarded to students 15 to 17 years old, where they spend 10 days seeing where Canadian soldiers fought in the World Wars.
And just remember how much freedom really means. Freedom is never free, and just how much the First and Second World War is important to our history, both as a nation and as an individual as well.
Mary Lou Ogbenar grew up in the Philippines and still has family there. She lost her grandfather in the Second World War.
We have a project with Luis now that, back home, we will do something for her great-grandfather and other veterans in our village, in our hamlet, who, sometimes they are forgotten.
Louise says it was difficult seeing how young the Canadian soldiers were who were buried in France and Belgium, and hopes to share what she learned in Europe with others in her class. Kevin Fleming, CTV News, Calgary.
After the break, some comic relief. A big-name comedian is slated to hit Edmonton next summer.
What year do you think it is?
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Welcome back. 13 degrees this morning, 4 degrees above average, 28 this afternoon. 8 degrees warmer than average for September 3rd. And we mentioned earlier in the newscast, big cool down coming for tomorrow. That'll only put us back to around average. And then after that, temperatures climb back into the low to mid 20s through Friday and mid to upper 20s for the weekend. We had some scattered showers, even a stray thunderstorm in parts of northeastern Alberta through this afternoon and this evening. There's your clearing for tomorrow. And it's not just clearing as far as the clouds are concerned. Here in Edmonton and areas off to the east, the smoke will be clearing out as well. You see, tomorrow morning, still a little hazy. Thicker smoke in the greens and the darker blues off to the west. Watch how conditions improve through the day tomorrow and stay nice and clear right through the day Friday as well. Now, western Alberta, for the next 2 days, you'll continue to deal with some wildfire smoke. But for areas around Edmonton and off to the east, should be able to breathe a whole lot easier. Today, we were in the moderate risk for most of the day. Tomorrow, by the afternoon, no or low risk. Sitting 9 degrees in Fort McMurray tomorrow morning, as well as Grand Prairie. 11s or 12s, Red Deer, Edmonton, Slave Lake. We'll see temperatures considerably cooler Friday morning. You get some cooler afternoon highs, some clearing, wind dies down late in the day tomorrow. And so Friday morning, there may be a bit of patchy frost in parts of central and north central Alberta. 17 degrees in Fort McMurray tomorrow afternoon, 18 for Cold Lake. Get some sunshine. Temperatures were up close to 30 today. You'll be closer to 20 for a high tomorrow. 24 in Jasper, still fairly warm there. And then mid to upper teens from Red Deer off into east central Alberta. Here in Edmonton, we'll get to about 19 or 20. Hazy in the morning, then skies clearing in the afternoon. The wind backs off. Still a little breezy in the morning, but sunny, light wind and less smoke tomorrow afternoon. Smoke does not look like it'll be a factor on Friday. Sunshine, high of about 22. Cool in the morning, though. 8 degrees in the city. I think outside the city could easily be in the 2 or 3 degree range. And then anywhere between 24 and 28 for daytime highs Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So back into the mid to upper 20s. And it looks like low to mid 20s for most of next week as well. That is your forecast.
Comedian Nate Bargatze will be making a stop in Edmonton next summer.
Our dog sleeps in our bed, and someone told me you're not supposed to do that because you lose dominance over the dog. And I asked him, I said, what year do you think it is?
The show at Rogers Place is on July 26th. Will be a part of his Big Dumb Eyes tour.
They're barely dumb.
Bargatze is known for his Netflix specials, Saturday Night Live appearances, and will host the Emmys later this month. Tickets go on sale for the Edmonton show Friday at 10 a.m. Alrighty, folks, that is all from us tonight. Thank you so much for wrapping up your Wednesday with us here on CTV News. We'll see you back here tomorrow night after week 1 in the NFL action. We'll be here at 11:30. Until then, take care and goodbye for now.